All right, I believe now we're going to get over to Matthew Whitaker, former acting Attorney General at the Justice Department. Matthew, great to have you with us.
Hey, John, how are you?
Well, you know, I kind of wish you were still the acting Attorney General because you might actually get out in front of this. You might feel a responsibility.
Would have never happened.
Well, I know it would never happen, but, you know, if it did happen and the shoe were on the other foot, you would at least be more forthcoming with the American public about why you had to get the search warrant, as Professor Dershowitz was talking about, and why did it have to happen on August 8th after there was already this issue raised all the way back in July. So, you know, you've had a chance, I think, to read through the affidavit, but give us your thoughts on it.
Well, several thoughts come to mind as I've read through this. First of all, it lays out a chronology of the investigative steps that were taken that led up to the execution of the search warrant. Much of it, as you're seeing on the screen, is blacked out and unhelpful, and the parts that's not blacked out really doesn't tell us anything. We knew that the boxes turned over in January are alleged to have contained classified information. We know that obviously they had visited in June and got some more documents and talked about securing the space. And a lot of it we don't know. I think one of the interesting things that I see is that the issue of the declassification when President Trump was at the White House is mentioned. And an article from Breitbart is mentioned that the president claims to, or at least his representatives claim to have declassified many of these documents that were in his possession. We don't know what the FBI's response or stance towards that issue is in the president's ability to declassify. That's going to be a very important issue, as you can imagine, John. But, you know, the bottom line is these redacted pages are not transparency. This does not allay the American people's fear that the FBI and the Department of Justice have been politicized. This does not allay, you know, sort of previous investigations against Donald Trump that have taken shortcuts or otherwise bent the rules to try to get Trump. And so this, you know, for me, this affidavit, while they can, you know, sort of wash their hands on a Pontius Pilate-like manner saying we released the affidavit, really, this does not move the ball forward and take away any of some, you know, real American fears that the FBI is gone rogue.
Because, right, really, that was the whole point of this. Normally, you wouldn't even release the affidavit, but the idea here was to give the American public some hint of transparency, and we did not get that from this document, at least from what I've been able to glean from it sitting here for the last hour and a half, Matthew. And, you know, Kash Patel, you indicated this, you know, he's been on Newsmax a lot talking about the fact that he's vouched for President Trump declassifying these documents. And then we get into this kind of roundabout game of process crimes, if you want to call it that. And, you know, when and actually if these documents are, I just don't see how this changes anyone's mind at this stage. We don't have that smoking gun.
Yeah.
And until we have
John,
that, it's nothing changes.
Let's go back. At the beginning, you know, I was talking about how I wouldn't have done this because I think there were so many more steps that Merrick Garland should have instructed the investigators to do. And,
sure,
you know, it is very clear that, at least from the Trump team's perspective, they felt they were negotiating in good faith for the return of documents that, you know, were either classified or most likely covered by the Presidential Records Act. They turned over documents. They turned over more documents in June. And so, you know, from their perspective, I don't feel like they thought that there was any problem here. It is very clear, based on the, you know, the way that this affidavit lays out in the chronological order, that the FBI, from the moment that they heard from the archives of classified information, that the wheels were in motion to take this exact step instead of continuing to negotiate in good faith and continuing to maybe issue another subpoena or, you know, take so many other interim steps that could have been taken. And you know, the fact that Merrick Garland sat on this for weeks in the reporting that we've heard is just is a testament that, you know, they probably should have done more to try to avoid this constitutional crisis.
And that's what I'm so hung up on, is why did it have to happen, particularly on that date, considering there was all that deliberation by Merrick Garland, and what finally pushed him over the edge to go ahead and sign off on the raid after all that time. Those questions remain unanswered right now, and Merrick Garland remains unwilling to answer any questions for the public on this. But Matthew, thank you for answering our questions. Always great to see you. We appreciate it.
Thanks, John. Good to see you, my friend.